Here we're going to solve inequalities that look like px plus q is less than r. Now there can be variations, but that is the general form. So step one, we would like to add or subtract the number by itself. So as I look down here at the 2x plus 12 is less than 26, this 12 that's by itself here is the one I'd like to do. And how I'm going to decide if I'm adding or subtracting is I'm just going to do the opposite of what's written there. So this plus 12, I'm going to do the opposite and minus 12 on both sides. So I'll bring down the 2x, the 12 minus 12 is gone, and 26 divided by 12, 26 minus 12 is 14. Next, we're going to divide or multiply the coefficient. In this case, it is a 2 times the x, so I'm going to do the opposite. In that case, it's going to be division. I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and I don't need to write it, so I can just have the x by itself. And 14 divided by 2 is 7. Step 3, we are going to bring down the inequality. However, there is something to look out for. Please look out for multiplying or dividing by a negative. If we do that, we are swapping the whole inequality around and we're going to have to reverse the inequality. This one we didn't. We divided by a positive 2. So we are going to just bring down this less than sign. Okay, our next one, 5x minus 3 is greater than 31. I would like to add or subtract the number 3 here. So this is a minus 3. I'm going to do the opposite and add 3. If I do it to one side, I'm going to make sure to do it to both sides. Then I've got this times 5. So step 2, I'm going to divide or multiply. So since I'm multiplying the 5, I'm going to do the opposite and divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 cancels out, leaving the x. 34 divided by 5. You have a choice here now. So we can either go into decimals or we could leave it as a fraction. So this time I'm going to choose to go to the decimal. We've got 6.8. I'm going to bring the greater than sign down because I did not multiply or divide by a negative. Next one, 8 minus 4x is less than or equal to 32. I'm going to add or subtract the number by itself. So that is this 8 out front. Now please be very careful. This subtraction sign is not on the 8. It is not subtracting 8. It is subtracting the 4x. So what is this 8? Well, it is currently a positive 8. So if I would like to get rid of that 8, I'm going to do the opposite, and I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. 8 minus 8 cancels out. I'm going to bring down that subtraction and that 4x. And then I've got 32 minus 8 is giving me 24. Then I'm going to divide by the coefficient, which this time is a negative 4. So I'm going to divide by a negative 4. So that is what I'm looking out for. That is what I call a red flag. So I am going to wave the red flag there, and I'm going to flip this inequality around. It is now a greater than or equal to. These numbers canceled out, leaving the x, and 24 divided by negative 4 is negative 6. So again, we need to look out for multiplying or dividing by a negative because that is going to flip that inequality from a less than to a greater than or vice versa. Next, we have 1/2 x minus 13 is greater than or equal to 20. I'd like to get rid of this minus 13, so I'm going to add 13 to both sides. 1/2 x and 33. This is 1/2 times x, so I'm going to do the opposite and I'm going to divide by 1/2. I'm going to bring it over here just to have more room. The 1/2s cancel out, leaving the x. 33 divided by 1/2 is 66. And if you notice back here, my comment was to look out for multiplying or dividing by a negative. So not a fraction, just a negative. So this one is still going to be the same. It is still going to be a greater than or equal to. Last one here, the plus 5 is the number that's going to go. I'm going to do the opposite by minusing 5 from both sides. Negative 11x and 22. This is times negative 11, so I'm going to do the opposite and divide by negative 11, and that is my red flag. That is what I'm being careful to look out for. So when I divide by a negative, I'm going to have to flip this less than to become a greater than, and then I have my x. 22 divided by negative 11 is negative 2.